Sigh. So where do we even begin? Oh God, so much hype, so much promise, so much goodwill built up over all the years, all gone quickly. Very, very quickly. And that's just CD Projekt Red. What about the other half of this complete clusterfuck, the video games media? Video games journalists, or whatever they are nowadays, glorified hype men it feels like, to be honest, most of the time. I've heard some people try and give reviewers a free pass, saying the wool was pulled over their eyes by CDPR. If you want to go with that and go down that route, then fine. But it should act as a watershed moment for reviewers and games journalists. Journalism should act as the first line of criticism for the industry and the first line of defence for the customer. It is both. In these capacities, they are failing us, the gamer. In the background, I'm running the official trailers and videos released for Cyberpunk by CDPR. Why? Because I think it's really important and quite poignant at the moment to remember what was promised and what we actually have in reality. Okay, let's discuss the product first. I'm just over the 25-hour mark for total honesty into the game. And before I give my full review, I will finish the game and I'll go through it fully. However, I've played enough of this game to offer the following thoughts. I've played enough to be utterly let down. I've played enough to be utterly furious at the state of the game. I've played enough to know that we were all lied to. Before offering these thoughts, it's important to know the basis of what was or is expected of a game like Cyberpunk by myself, the person offering these opinions. Because very often you can go into a game with very different expectations to what maybe the reality was from the game or what the producer was even saying. For me, in a game like this, a game where it's open world, there's this beautiful city, the most important thing this game can offer me is immersion, escapism. It's important to be engulfed in the neon lights, the big smoke, the seedy back alleys. That is what lifts a game from good to greatness, and is what this game quite frankly promised. Games have been released with bugs before, let's not be naive here. CDPR aren't the first games company to release a game with bugs. But in certain games you can kind of get away with the odd bug, and that's not justifying bugs. It's just sometimes a bug doesn't have a huge impact on the overall product. In Cyberpunk it's different. It's different because the bugs are glaring and obvious from the first minute, the first mission. The immersive cocoon you find yourself in a game like this is destroyed inside the first hour of playing Cyberpunk. And whenever you find yourself slipping back into that cocoon and feeling like you're really in Night City, another bug smacks you in the face and pulls you straight back out of the immersion. I'm not going to go into every bug, just YouTube Cyberpunk bugs, you'll see everything you need to see. There are hundreds of YouTube videos showing the eclectic collection of bugs that CDPR have managed to conjure up for us. But I am going to talk about one in particular, just because I think in a nutshell it completely highlights the issues Cyberpunk has. Early on in the game, you're in a car and having a really emotional, brilliantly animated, fantastically voice acted cutscene. Well, it's not a cutscene, it's an in-game cutscene. The whole scene is delivered really well. And then at the height, the emotional peak of this cutscene, a pistol spawns randomly and sticks out of the chin of the person who's talking to you and giving you this really emotional moment. And the moment's completely ruined. And this happens all the time. Walking through the city, NPCs randomly glitch out and stand in the T-pose. They vanish without a trail. The citywide traffic comes to a complete standstill if your bike is a pixel in the road. You know, the textures don't load, the pop-in is shocking. I could go on, but I won't bore you. Because it brings me on to the next bit really quite nicely. How on earth can all of this be given a pass by game reviewers? How could any respected reviewer give the game a pass on this? I played the game on two different PC gaming rigs, both high powered, both had similar issues. One's an Intel Nvidia rig and one's an AMD Radeon rig. I read so many reviews that mentioned that the game was buggy, but holy shit, if you say a game's buggy and give it a perfect score or give it 9 out of 10, I'm thinking the bugs aren't that big an issue. Surely that's what any sane person would think. The game currently sits at 87 on Metacritic. Only 8 reviewers had the guts to call the game out for what it is. As far as I'm concerned, these are the only people we should ever listen to on reviews going forward. And fair play to this guy, I hadn't heard of this website before, so I apologize if they're kind of a big website, but fair players, he or she just went in on this review and they just laid it all out there. So go subscribe to his channel, whatever it is you need to do, because this guy had the guts to face the toxicity of the internet and just say it as it is. I don't know how anybody can say this game delivered. There are reviews. I really respect YouTubers on the internet that reviewed this game, and for that reason I bought it. I was very wary with the bugs, but how anyone can say this game delivered is beyond me. I'm not going to get too much into the nitty-gritty gameplay of the game because I'm going to save that for the review. Touching on gameplay elements, artistic choices, RPG elements or the lack of. But the main issue with the bugs is the game doesn't allow you to be immersed. The game doesn't allow you to settle into V. The game doesn't allow you to smell the rotten air of Night City. The game doesn't allow you to live the game. Quite frankly, Cyberpunk is a colossal failure for CDPR, for games journalism and for the gaming industry. This was a huge release, make no bones about it. This was a monstrous release for the gaming industry, and it has failed, and it's a bad look for the gaming industry. I hope all three, games journalism, CDPR and the gaming industry, they learned from this, but more importantly, I hope we, the consumer, learn to pick up on the warning signs and red flags that now, with hindsight, were so obvious. The high scores are a blatant disregard of the job journalists have. This game should have been called out and the consumer should have been protected and warned from the start. I could go on, but I don't like negative portrayals of things. I love gaming, I'm passionate about it, but that's why I had to make this video. That's the rant over, my own reviews incoming with my own thoughts. Hope everyone's good, stay safe, like, subscribe, etc. It helps us out. Take care.